The Army's Chief of Staff, Gencarl Vuono, recently paid a visit to the Republic of Korea. During his stay, the general visited with U.S. Forces Korea service members as well as Korean political leaders. Before departing, the general granted an interview with the American Forces Korea Network in which he addressed several issues pertaining to today's Army.
During your visit here, you've had the chance to see 8th Army USFK units in action. What are your current impressions, sir, of the readiness of U.S. Forces Korea?
Well, first of all, I'm delighted to have the opportunity to chat with you this morning, and I would characterize my impressions as being absolutely pleased with everything that I have seen in terms of the readiness of the combined force over here. And I've had a chance to visit not only the U.S. forces, but also some of the ROK units. And I'm very impressed with what I saw with the professionalism and with the readiness of the combined force.
Sir, readiness, how would you define that word?
Well, as I talk about the ingredients of readiness, what makes up a ready Army, because I think that is a basis for all we do, is to have a ready Army. And I must say, here in Korea, I saw great examples of a ready Army. I saw an Army that has a mission and knows what that mission is. I saw an Army that knows how to fight and understands that preparing for war is the greatest deterrent that we can have in this part of the world. I saw an Army that is training to fight. I saw an Army that is taking care of its soldiers, and I saw an Army that has leaders who understand their responsibility to their soldiers. And to me, that's what makes up a ready force, and that's what I saw here the past few days during my visit.
Sir, as we all should have known by now, at least in the Army, and if we've forgotten, there's a banner out by the main gate that reminds us the Army theme this year, of course, is training. Why was training selected for the theme this year, sir, and what do you expect to achieve by making training this year's theme?
Well, I think we picked training as a theme this year because, in my view, training is a cornerstone to deterrence. If we have a well-trained force, not only are we going to be able to accomplish any mission given to us, but any of our potential enemies are going to be well aware of the powerful Army that we have based on the training of that force. And what we expect in a year of training is units that understand how to train, that they understand the responsibilities of training individuals, training as units, and training leaders, and that our training is based on standards, tough, meaningful standards, that we train the way we're going to fight as part of a joint force and as part of a combined force. And nowhere do you see examples of that better than you do here in Korea. And so that's why I'm delighted with that banner that I see flying. And so we now need to turn that banner into action in 1988, and I'm confident that we will.
Sir, in order to train, we all obviously need leaders, our NCOs, the backbone of the Army, as well as our commanding officers. What does the Army expect, sir, out of today's leaders?
Well, I think, first of all, the Army today is in the best posture it's ever been, at least during my service, regarding the quality of those soldiers who make up the force. I think the young men and women coming into our ranks are the best we've ever had. They want to be challenged. They want meaningful training. They want to achieve a standard. They want to contribute. And in order to have those young men and women reach their potential, you need quality leaders. And I believe, again, we have quality leaders, our great non-commissioned officers who can do anything we ask of them, and of course our bright young officers who know their business. And I say what makes up a leader to inspire the young soldiers we have today are leaders who understand their business, who are tactically and technically competent. Whether you're an infantryman, whether you're a signaleer, or whether you are running a quartermaster organization, you must know your business and be tactically and technically competent. Secondly, I expect a leader to be a good listener. Expect a leader to listen to his soldiers, to ensure that if his soldiers have something that is bothering them, that the leader is there prepared to listen and then prepared to take action to ensure that the soldiers' concerns are taken care of. We expect the leader to be selfless, to devote their efforts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to leading their soldiers. That doesn't mean that you're at your appointed place of duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but you're always on duty. We expect leaders to have bedrock integrity because on the battlefield there's no place for anything but the greatest of integrity, and we expect that on a day-to-day basis. And then finally, I expect leaders to set the example, both personally and professionally, and expect leaders to know what the standards are and then enforce those standards. And we have those kind of leaders in our Army, then our Army can accomplish any mission. And I believe that's the kind of leadership that we have in our force today.
So let's talk interoperability for a minute. For instance, the Republic of Korea military and U.S. forces here in Korea. What is your assessment, sir, of our ability between the two militaries to work together?
Yeah. Well, I think interoperability is something that the Army, our Army, has to work hard at, regardless of where we have forces positioned. Because in all probability, we're going to fight as part of a combined force. Nowhere is that more evident than in Korea, where we fight side by side with the Army of the Republic of Korea. And I believe that interoperability is a way of life over here. I saw an example of that yesterday, where I saw the artillery exercise yesterday morning, where we had combined ROC and U.S. artillery firing against a common target. And it was a very successful exercise. And its further examples of that are all the various command post exercises and FTXs that take place on a yearly basis here in Korea, Team Spirit and so forth. Those exercises contribute greatly to interoperability. And in addition to that, the seminars, the discussion periods, the working together on common objectives, all of those rolled together contribute to interoperability and contribute to our ability to fight side by side as a combined force. And I just think Korea is a tremendously superb example of how that is working on a day-to-day basis. And I couldn't be more pleased with the efforts over here on interoperability.
Sir, personnel cuts. The Army, it's been reported, plans to cut its active force by some 30,000. What is that going to do to Army readiness? And to further go on that, sir, what is the rationale for cuts in the Army officer strength? And why is services like the Army and the Air Force cutting its officer strength, while on the other hand you've got services like the Navy that's adding more officers?
Well, first of all, let me say that there's no plans or do we have any intention to reducing the Army by 30,000. I've heard that figure before, and there's absolutely no basis to that whatsoever. There will be a small cut, in all probability, in the Army end strength. We don't know exactly the exact number right now, and I might say that we're in the early stages of deliberations on the 1989 budget, but there will probably be some cuts in our end strength. But I want to assure you that we will not affect the essential readiness of our force. We will ensure that we take the reductions that all the services are taking in the budget in those areas that is prudent to reduce. That we will not, and I repeat, we will not affect essential readiness. We will base it on deterrence and warfighting capability. And further, I want to assure that in the forward deployed forces such as we have in Korea, we will do everything within our power to ensure that we maintain the readiness that we have in our force today.
Sir, retention, are you satisfied with the Army's ability?
Well, you didn't answer the other parts of the question you asked him.
Okay,
sir.
Deal with the rationale for cuts in the Army officer strength.
Okay, yeah, let me go ahead back to that. The second part of your question has to do with cuts in the officer strength. I do not want to cut the officer end strength. None of the services do. However, it is a mandate from Congress that we impose some officer cuts in 1988, and so we are now in the process of determining the best means to achieve those reductions. We're looking at a variety of means to do that. I want to make sure that we have the cuts taken in those areas that cause the least effect on readiness and the least impact insofar as possible on our officers and their families.
That was the last part of the question now.
Go ahead.
Question was, sir, why is the Army as well as the Air Force taking cuts in officer strength while services like the Navy are adding more?
Mm-hmm. And finally, your question having to do with the allocation of cuts. The cuts for 1988 were proportioned based on the requirements that each service had for filling officer positions in 1988. And based on that rationale, the cuts were apportioned the way that they have been shown by Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines.
Okay, sir, now on the topic of retention, are you pleased with the Army's ability of keeping its good soldiers in uniform?
I believe that not only are we retaining, or not only are we attracting outstanding young men and women, but I believe we're retaining the kind of quality young men and women that we need for our Army both of today and our Army for tomorrow. And I think the retention programs that we have in effect are enabling us to keep that quality. But I would hasten to add that it is a full-time job to continue to retain those soldiers that we want to keep in our Army. And we're working very hard to making that happen.
Sir, a 2% pay raise took effect, as we all know, at the beginning of the year. What are your thoughts on the raise being 2% for 88?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I would have hoped that the raise would have been higher for our soldiers. Our soldiers deserve compensation for the great work that they do around the world. The soldiers that I see during my visit in Korea and elsewhere, I just couldn't be more proud of them, and they deserve everything we possibly can get them. I would have liked to seen a higher pay raise in this year than the 2% pay raise. But given the great difficulty that our country is having with the budget deficit, the 2% pay raise was the best that we could achieve in 1988. But we'll continue to fight for adequate compensation pay raise for our soldiers in the future because they deserve no less.
Go right to the last question.
Okay, sir. Sir, last question. What would you say are the main challenges facing the Army today, and what are your primary goals as the Army's Chief of Staff?
I believe that the greatest challenge that we have today is maintaining the great momentum that we have going on in our Army. And you see it every day. The great soldiers we have, the modernization of our force, of our equipment, our training efforts, and the leaders, the non-commissioned officers and officers. And there's a momentum there that we must maintain as we work to ensure that we provide for the combat readiness of our force. And my goals as Chief of Staff are to ensure that we have a ready force, that we're able to accomplish every mission that we may be called upon to do for our nation. And I believe that we do that by maintaining the momentum that we have today and building the Army to tomorrow. And we're all dedicated to making that happen. And during my visit in Korea, I saw a tremendous example of what a ready Army can do. And I believe we have a ready Army here in Korea. And I'm extremely proud of every soldier and family member that we have serving in the Republic today.
From Seoul, Korea, Army Sergeant Mark Cummings, AFRTS SAT News.
Okay.
Let me take this thing off you,
How'd
sir.
that go?
Be on your way.
When are you going to send it back to me? Okay, great.
This will be the uncut version.
Yeah.
The piece that we actually put on TV will be sending it to you sometime today.
Okay.
Express mail.
Okay. And